Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritcham Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet. Nashtaprayeshu Vadhreshu Nityam Bhagavata-sevayā Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtagi Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devakinandanaaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Ugram Veeram Mahavishnu Jwalantam Sarvatomukham Nrsimham Bhīshanam Bhadram Mrityor Namamyaham Shri Nrsimha Jaya Nrsimha Jaya Jaya Nrsimha Deva Prahladi Sajaya Padma Mukha Padma Branga Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya Namaste Jaste Jase Avirbhava Vajranakha Vajradamshtra Karmashayan Nirandaya Randhaya Tamograsa Grasa Om Swaha Abhayam Abhayam Atmani Bhumishta Om Shalom. Hare Krishna for joining for the day 3 of the glories of Lord Nrsimhadev. The day after tomorrow is the grand celebration of Sri Sri Pralaya Lakshmi Nrsimha Bhagavan because he has appeared. And through the means of Srimad Bhagavatam and the occasion of last two sessions, we have mm, taken shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam to understand why did in fact Lord appear in this wonderful form. We may see this form is very unique. Why? Because the Lord has appeared as, we know that he has appeared as Matsya Avatar, Varaha Avatar, huh? And one may see these forms are wonderful and the pastimes of the Lords are also wonderful. What is very special about the Lord appearing as Nrsimhadev is, yeah, as we go through the next sessions of this series of glorification of Lord Nrsimhadev, we will know. But for today, we are going to glorify two personalities. The two personalities are yeah, one we are going to see from what Narada Muni is saying. Shri Narada Vacha Evam Vrita Sata Dhritir Hiranyakashipor Atha Pradat Tat Tapasa Prito Varam Tasya Sudurlabhan. So here Narada Muni, if you remember last session we were discussing what kind of tapasya that Hiranyakashipu did was unimaginable and yeah, very very difficult. And just because it's so difficult and that though Hiranyakashipu's desire, which was to become immortal, cannot be granted, Brahma said, no, but still I would like to give you something, ask something. And of course, Hiranyakashipu asks, may I be, have no death from these big funnel. Just imagine a funnel which can mm, take you through that, and then you end up in okay. If you are really there, then you can come to the bottom of the funnel. And Hiranyakashipu was finding all the cases so that no one can be there who can actually come. So his funnel was so that he wanted to make sure nothing, no criteria can be left. So Lord Narad Muni is saying Lord Brahma was very much satisfied for Hiranyakashipu's austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benedictions, he granted all whatever he was asking. And Sri Brahma Vacha Tate me Durlabha Pumsam Yan Vrinise Varan Mama Tathapi Vitarami Anga Varan Udyapi Durlabhan. No, he's saying, nevertheless, O my son, I shall grant you them although they are generally not available. So this kind of no one can ask, but you have asked, but in fact you also proved your steal by performing such a great austerity. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, nonetheless, since Brahma had promised he wanted to grant all the benedictions asked, the word Durlabhan indicates that one should not take benedictions one cannot enjoy peacefully. Durlabhan is also, it is not that, okay, it's very difficult to attain such a level of austerity, but it's also very difficult to enjoy such kind of benediction that one is asking. Tato jigam bhagavan अमोघानुग्रह विभो पूजितो सुर वीर्येण वर्येण स्तूयमानः प्रजेश्वरैः. I need to find my specs. Where did I leave? But yeah. Mm, then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, and then Hiranyakashipu, he is very, very mm, so great because he, in fact, has got these benedictions, and because of that, he is not only praised by the sages but also um, the saintly people who heard to this. Evam labdha varo daityo. The difference between a devotee getting a benediction and a demon getting a benediction is this. Yeah, he can't get it. Yeah, it's very difficult. But after getting it, what happened? Evam labdha varo daityo vibrat demamayam bapuhu bhagavati akaro dvesham bhratur vadham anusmaran. This is the seed of Hiranyakashipu's life. Whatever he does is the seed of it is what? He was envious. Why he was envious? Of course, here we can see it is because that his brother was killed. He became envious of whom? Because he knew that um, Lord Vishnu has killed Hiranyaksha, so he became very envious of him. In fact, we can see that because Brahma has sprinkled this sacred water on Hiranyakashipu and then he became very young and became like gold strong, golden body, lustrous, he continued to remember the death of his brother and therefore became envious. Then it goes further that due to the envy of Hiranyakashipu, hmm, it was so much envy that even after getting the boon from Brahma, he was not satisfied. After, yeah, you know that, okay, now you are fine, yeah, you have all power, you have all blessings. No, then sa vijitya disha sarva lokam cha trin mahasuraha devasura manushyendra gandharva garudo gan siddha chanara vidyadharan rishin pitran patin manun yaksha raksha पिशाचान प्रेत भूत पतीन अपि सर्व सत्व पत्तीन जित्वा वसम आनीय विश्वजित चहार लोकपालानां स्थानानि सह तेजसा. You see how it Hiranyakashipu became the conqueror of the entire world. In fact, indeed, the great demon conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of human beings, the Gandharvas, Garudas, the serpents, the Siddhas, Chanaras, Vidyadharas, great saints, Yamaraj, Manus, and Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pisachas, and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and the Bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where there are living entities and brought them under his control. Conquering the abode of all, he seized their power and influence. Two things. One is a person can conquer all the three worlds. This is what we can see from Hiranyakashipu. He had the spirit of conquering for what he need. He got the boon. So this means currently it's also going on. One who is having lot of wealth or who is having lot of power, he can do whatever he want. There is another Vishwamitra of this age. Who is that? Mm, who is that? Elon Musk. He's trying to shoot rockets into the skies so that he can, yeah, prove that, yeah, he can make a this possible that one could go to the other planets. And he's trying, of course. Have anyone know why I compared him with Vishwamitra? No?
Because Prabhuji, Vishwamitra wanted to have his own heaven, and maybe he's trying to Elon
Why
Musk.
did he wanted his own heaven?
Because I think Lord Indra he had some ego clash.
Hmm. No.
Trishankar.
Trishanku. Trishanku was the demon who wanted, and Vishwamitra gives his promise that he can send him to heaven. But one cannot go to heaven just like that. Yeah, like right now, what Elon Musk is doing by sending rockets. Yeah, you can go and reach those planets. I don't know to which planet is he trying now? Moon or
Mars
Mars?
from
Mars. Okay. Hmm. So, and of course, Vishwamitra uses all his tapobal, and he with that he creates a swarga between the real swarga and the planet Earth. Hmm. And of course, anyway, the story is long, but yeah, we see here, and Hiranyakashipu can do this, and this is first thing. Second thing, Prabhupada mentioned in the purport is, the scientists say that so and so planet there is no life. How is it possible? Huh? It's not possible. Why? Because we can see Hiranyakashipu has conquered all the planets, and he sees the power of all the people in those planets. This shows that, in fact, it's possible. Nonetheless, we are not very much impressed by the words of scientists who say that all other planets are vacant and that only the Earth is full of living entities. That is. Devodhyana Shriya Jushtam Adhyaste Sma Pistapam Mahendra Bhavanam Sakshan Nirmitam Vishwakarmana Trailokya Lakshmi Ayatanam Adhyuvasakhila Ardhitmat. He's saying Hiranyakashipu possessed all Lakshmi, the opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandana garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by Vishwakarma, so and was beautifully made as if the goddess of fortune of entire universe reside there. So yeah, and Prabhupada writes in the purport that telescopes will not be able to show that the grandeur of these heavenly planets. The telescopes and other imperfect instruments of scientists are inadequate for evaluating the upper planetary system. Why? Because they are, Prabhupada writes, they are thousand times more opulent than Earth. But how can we see? We can't see. Direct information different from Vedic literature, however, is perfect. We therefore cannot accept the statement that there are no opulent residents on the planets other than this earth. यत्र विद्रुम सोपान महा मारकट भुवा यत्र स्फाटिक कुंड्यानि वैढूर्य स्तंभ पंक्तयः यत्र चित्र वितानानि पद्मरागासनानि च पयः फेन निभाः सस्य मुक्तादाम परिच्छदाः कूजभिर्नूपुरैर्देव्यः शब्दयन्त्ये इतस्ततः रत्नस्थलीषु पश्यन्ति सुदतीः सुन्दरं मकम् तस्मिन् महेन्द्र भवने महाबलो महामना निर्जित लोक एकरात् रेमे भिवन्द्राङ्घ्रि युग सुरादिभिः प्रतापितैर् ऊर्जितः चण्ड शासनः. Anyway, of all this, the word last is very important. Chanda Sasana is one who is Sasana means ruler. Chanda means severe. So, in this way, Hiranyakashipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone, having all the facilities at his hand. Hmm? Hiranyakashipu was so powerful in heavenly planets that all the demigods except Lord Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu were forced to engage in his service. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has compared Hiranyakashipu to Maharaj Vena, who was also atheist and scornful of ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. Yet Mahavena was afraid of some of the great sages such as Bhrigu, whereas Hiranyakashipu ruled in such a way that everyone feared him except the Trimurtis. So we can see that Hiranyakashipu cared no one. In fact, he has envy of Lord Shiva, Lord Vishnu. तम अंगमत्तम मधुनोरु गंधिना विवृत्त ताम्राक्षम अशेष दिष्ण्यपाह उपासतोपायन पाणिभिर्विना त्रिभिस्तथा tapo yoga, balo jasam padam. Except the three. Is it this one? Yeah, Hiranyakashipu. Yeah, in this verse, Narada Muni is telling to Yudhishthir Maharaj that Hiranyakashipu was always drunk on strong-smelling wines and liquors, and therefore his copperly eyes were always rolling. Nonetheless, because he had powerfully executed great austerities in mystic yoga, although he was abominable, all but the three principal demigods, Lord Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, uh, personally worshipped him to please him by bringing him various presentations with their own hands. In fact, Narada Muni is even telling, in fact, he's saying, Jagur Mahendrasanam Ojasa Stitam Vishwavasu Tumburur Asmad Adayah Gandharva Siddha Rishayo Stuvam Muhur Vidyadharascha Apsarascha Pandava. He is saying, "O Yudhishthir Maharaj, this Hiranyakashipu is so that being situated on the throne of Indra, he controlled the inhabitants of all the planets. In fact, the two Gandharvas who are there, Vishwavasu and Tumburu, as well as myself and Vidyadharas, Apsaras, sages, and all offered prayers to him again and again just to glorify him. In this, Narada Muni has included himself into this. In fact, even I am there. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that asuras sometimes become so powerful that they can engage even Narad Muni and similar devotees in their service. This does not mean that Narad Muni was subordinate to Hiranyakashipu. Just if one is ruling doesn't mean one becomes a servant. Because one's Tejo Balam, yeah, the Tejas, the Shakti he has, is beyond the limits of one's imposing his rule on him. Sometimes, however, it is so happens in the material world that great personalities, even great devotees, can also be controlled by asuras. This is what we may see. Huh? स एव वर्णाश्रमी श्रमिभिः क्रतुभिर्भूरि दक्षिणैः युज्यमानो हविर्भागान् अग्राहीत् स्वेन तेजसा. Being worshipped by sacrifices offered with great gifts by those who strictly follows the principles of Varna and Ashrama, Hiranyakashipu, instead of, what is the purpose of yajna? If king is doing yajna, the purpose is whatever is coming, he has to distribute to the people or actually send it to Lord Vishnu. So that he is the Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. But here Hiranyakashipu started accepting them. He accepted them himself instead of giving to the devatas. अकृष्ट पश्या तस्यासीत् सप्त द्वीपवती मही तथा काम दुघा गावो नानाश्चर्य padam nabha. As if in fear of Hiranyakashipu, even the planet Earth was so much under pressure to give everything that is needed, from the earth, which consists of 7 islands, delivered food grains without being plowed. We know that we need to plow the earth to make it suitable for seedling, for crop and everything. No, planet Earth was just giving. Thus, it resembled cows like the Shurabhi of the spiritual world or Kama Dugha of heaven. The earth yielded sufficient food grains, the cows supplied abundant milk, and outer space was beautifully decorated with wonderful paraphernalia. See how the glories of Hiranyakashipu are narrated by Narada Muni to Yudhishthir Maharaj. Ratnakarascha Ratnagas Tat Patnyas Chohur Urmibihi Kshara Sidhu Grita Kshaudra Dadi Kshiramrito Dakah. Everything was coming. You know what? In fact, by the flowing of their waves, the various oceans of the universe, along with their tributaries, rivers, which are compared to their wives, supplied various kinds of gems and jewels for Hiranyakashipu's use. These oceans were the oceans of salt water, sugarcane water, wine, clarified butter, milk, yogurt, and sweet water. In this way, everything was at his disposal. Shaila Droni Bhir Akridam Sarvar Tushu Gunan Drumaha Dadara Loka Palanam Eka Eva Pratag Gunan. This is what he's having uh, the valleys, everything was at his disposal. So the qualities of pouring water, drying and burning, which are all qualities of three departmental heads, everything were all directed by Hiranyakashipu. Director, it was him who was directing everything. And please pay careful attention from here. This is very. Sa ittam nirjita kakub eka rad vishayan priyan yatopajoshan bhunjano natrupyat achitendriya. In spite of achieving the power to control in all directions, in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratifications as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. That is the key between the devotee and the demon. A demon, when he gets power, he becomes intoxicated and becomes a slave and subordinate and being actually ex- exploited by the power because Durlaban, he is getting a power which he cannot manage. Whereas a devotee, when he gets a boon or a blessing, he engages that in the perfect way. In fact, we can see later, we can see the other glorification. We have so far heard about the glorification of Hiranyakashipu. That here it is said, this Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is the example of Asuric family, Asuric life. Asuric life. Atheists can advance materially and create an extremely comfortable situation for senses, but because they are controlled by the senses, they cannot be satisfied. This is the effect of modern civilization. As far as material sense gratification is concerned, materialists may go on increasing their enjoyment as far as they can imagine. But because people in such materialistic condition are servants of their senses, they cannot be satisfied. If you want to know which verse it is the 19th verse of the chapter 4 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 7 4 19, is to be underlined to understand how dangerous it is to acquire comforts. एवम् ऐश्वर्यमत्तस्य दृप्तोश्चस्त्र वर्तिनः कालो महान् व्यतीयाय ब्रह्मशापम् उपेयुषः. This is what happens. What happened? Hiranyakashipu thus passed a long time being very much proud of his opulences and transgressing. This is what happens when you're not satisfied and when you're powerful, then you take the law in your hands thinking that you create the law. But actually, we cannot create a law. We are only subordinate to the Sarva Dharma, to the Lord. The supreme Dharma is to be surrendered to the uh, service of the Lord. Hmm. So he therefore subjected to a curse by the four Kumaras who were great Brahmanas. In fact, this is a connection where Narad Muni is telling, in fact, of course, in the purport, Prabhupada doesn't explicitly mention. Did the four Kumaras curse Hiranyakashipu in this life? There are many instances in which demons, after achieving material opulences, have become extremely proud, so much so that they have transgressed the laws and regulations given by the authorities. यशास्त्रं विदम् उसृजा वर्तते कामकारत्ता न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति न सुखम न param gati. This is what very simple. If one transgresses the laws of the nature that's created by the Lord, then na sukham na param gati. He is not happy in this life, or also he has no future. Hmm? So one should act according to the direction of Shastras, but the material energy is so powerful. Then what is happening? As soon as one becomes materially opulent, he begins to transgress the Shastric laws. As soon as one transgresses the laws of Shastra, he immediately enters upon the path of destruction. Which means when one who does not follow the law, whatever he may do, he may enjoy comfort today, but because this enjoyment also it should be considered as his destruction. Why? Because he may think he may not believe in his own self, he may not believe in the superior energy. Because of these both, he is exposed to sense of fear, bhaya, which and then sense of fear makes him to commit offenses. Sense of fear makes him commit unlawful acts. This one. तस्योग्रदण्ड संविघ्नाः सर्वे लोकाः सपालकाः अन्यत्रालब्ध शरणाः शरणं ययुर achyutam. Now what happened? And everything was shaking in fear because of Hiranyakashipu. Everyone they went to the Supreme Lord, including everyone, including the rulers of various planets, was extremely distressed because of severe punishment of Hiranyakashipu. Fearful and disturbed, unable to find any other shelter, they at last surrendered to the Lord Vishnu. Achyutam. Prabhupada writes in the purport very nice about the role of the Supreme Lord. It's not like, okay, one can create his own. Similarly, if in distress one seeks shelter of a demigod, he is foolish, for his efforts will be fruitless. Why? We can see Devatas themselves are approaching to Achyuta, the Lord. In all circumstances, one should seek shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then there will be no danger under any circumstances. What is the Praman? We'll go to the verse number 38 or later, then we will come to that 37. Tasyai namostu kashtāyai yatratma harir ishvaraha yad gatva na nivartante shantaha sanyasino amalaha iti te samyatatmanaha samadhita dhiyo malaha उपतस्तुर ऋषिकेशम विनिद्रा वायु भोजना eating only air, Vayu Bhojana. So the devatas are offering prayers to the Lord, and let us offer our respectful obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is situated. Prabhupada writes, why is there is this tasyai, where is this word that's used? One second. Yeah. Tasye nama. Yeah. Tasye namostu kashtaye. Why is there is this tasya? To that kashtaye means direction. It is explicitly mentioned that the Lord is in a direction, and which direction is beyond the 10 directions which we think. And Hiranyakashipu, who has controlled all the directions, but could not conquer this direction where the Lord is saying. So they turned. Let us offer our respective obeisances unto that direction where the Supreme Lord is situated, where those pious souls in the renounced order of life, the great saintly persons go, and from which, having gone, they never return. Which means that direction, which is the spiritual world. Without sleep, fully controlling their minds and living on their breath, the predominating deities of various planets began worshipping Rishikesha with this meditation. Hmm. And Tesham Avirbhut Vani Arupa Megha Niswana Sannadayanti Kakubaha Sadhunam Abhayankari. From here it gets more to see what happens is then they appeared before them a transcendental sound vibration. When they went, when they offered this prayer, and then there was a transcendental sound voice. The voice was as grave as the sound of a cloud, and it was very encouraging and driving away fear. Ma bhaishta vibudha shrestha. He's saying, oh, don't worry. Sarvesham badramastuva mad darshanam hi bhutanam sarva shreyopapattaye ज्ञानम एतस्य दौरात्म्यम दैतेयापसदस्य यत् तस्य शांतिम करिष्यामि कालम तावत् pratikshata. This is very important, the line kalam tavat pratikshata means just wait for a suitable time. Just wait for the time. I shall make things, I will fix everything. But the Lord is saying, oh, best of the learned person, do not fear. I wish all good fortune to Bhadram uh, to you. Become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offer me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benedictions to all living entities. I don't know. Is everyone with me? There's a very important message if we can take this for our life. The message here is the Lord is not telling go and fight with Hiranyakashipu or go and do some tapasya or you do that, you hide somewhere, I will create a different world for you. Nothing. He just said, become my devotees by hearing and chanting about me and offering me prayers, for these are certainly meant to award benedictions to all living entities. In fact, yeah, so I remember often when we ask Bhaktibhushan Maharaj for a solution or guidance, Maharaj just simply says, chanting, just chant. Hmm. Lord Vishnu is saying, I know all about the activities of Hiranyakashipu and shall surely stop them very soon. Very soon. But he said, please wait patiently until that time comes. Until that time, wait patiently, which means one cannot just extract something untimely, because everything has its own time and one has to patiently wait depending on his role, act. यदा देवेषु वेदेषु गोषु विप्रेषु साधुषु धर्मे मयि च विद्वेषः स वा आसो विनश्यति. When one is envious of the devatas, demigods, who represent the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Vedas, which give all knowledge of the cows, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, and religious principles, and ultimately me, the Supreme Lord, he and his civilization will be vanquished without delay. निर्वैराय प्रशांताय स्वसुताय महात्मने प्रह्लादाय यदा द्रुह्येद धनिष्येपि वरोर्जितम. And from here, verse number 29, we can see till, as I said, two personalities are glorified. In fact, of course, we can see devatas were glorifying Lord Vishnu. But we can see who is the second person glorified is Prahlad Maharaj. In fact, the Lord himself is saying, when Hiranyakashipu teases the great devotee Prahlada, his own son, who is peaceful and sober and who has no enemy, I shall kill Hiranyakashipu immediately, despite the benediction of Brahma. What does this mean is explained in the purport, and let's pay very careful attention. Of all sinful activities, an offense to a pure devotee or Vaishnava is the most severe. An offense at the lotus feet of Vaishnava is so disastrous that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has compared it to a mad elephant that enters a garden and causes great havoc by uprooting many plants and trees. If one is an offender at the lotus feet of a Brahmana or a Vaishnava, his offenses uproot all his auspicious activities. One should therefore very carefully guard against committing Vaishnava aparadha or offenses at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Here the Lord clearly says that although Hiranyakashipu had received benedictions from Lord Brahma, these benedictions would be null and void as soon as he committed an offense at the lotus feet of Prahlad Maharaj. A Vaishnav like Prahlad Maharaj is described here as Nirvaira, one who has no enemies. There is, of course, further glorifications. Yeah. Sri Narada. Now, after this, Narada Muni is telling further to Yudhishthir Maharaj, It yukta loka guruna tam pranamya divaukshasha nyavartanta gatodvega menire chasura hatam. What does that mean? Is Narad Muni said, when the Lord, who is the spiritual master of everyone, thus reassured the Devatas, uh, they offered their respectful obeisances and returned, confident that the demon Hiranyakashipu was now practically dead. That is the confidence, that is the trust, that is the conviction one should have towards the Lord, that if I take up to devotional life, the Lord is going to take care of us. Hmm. In fact, yeah, in fact, of course, that shouldn't be the motivation. Okay, Lord will solve my problem. Let's take the shelter. That's why in Srimad Bhagavatam there is akama sarva kamo va moksha kama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. It says, yeah, whether one has desire, no desire, but whatever is yoga or karmis or still they should take to bhakti. Hmm? So that's is the what we can also see here. Tasya daitya pateh putra chatvara paramadbhuta prahrado bhun maham tesham gunair mahad upasaka. Now, Narad Muni is taking this immediate opportunity to glorify the Mahabhagavata, who is none other than his own disciple, right? Huh? Yeah. How can a guru glorify his own disciple? Sometimes, yeah, we may see, no, that's not right. But here he's so excited and in ecstasy, he is glorifying his own. He is saying, Hiranyakashipu had four wonderful sons, of whom Prahlad is the best. Indeed, Prahlad was a reservoir of all transcendental qualities because he was an unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Personality of God. Mahat Upasaka, Mahat being unalloyed devotee of the Supreme Lord. I'm looking for a purport that might come later, but yeah, ब्रह्मण्य शील संपन्न सत्य संदो जितेन्द्रिय आत्मवत् सर्वभूतानाम एक प्रिय सुहृतम दासवत् सन्ना सन्नतार्य अंग्रिहि पितृवत् दीनवत्सलः भ्रातृवत् सदृशे स्निग्धो गुरुष्व ईश्वर भावनः विद्यार्थ रूप जन्माढ्यो मान स्तंभ विवर्जिता. Oh my God, so many qualities. In fact, this one verse can be an hour or even more. In fact, a course for a 7 days to understand how to become a devotee is by seeing who is a devotee, by understanding the qualities of devotee. Here, there is a whole list. These, in purport, again, Prabhupada is mentioning these are some of the qualifications of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is automatically a Brahmana because a Vaishnava has all good qualities. Sama, damas, tapas, shaucham, kshantir, arjavam, eva, jnanam, avijnanam, ज्ञानम विज्ञानम आस्तिक्यम ब्रह्म कर्म स्वभावजम. These are the qualities of a Brahmana, which means peacefulness, self control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are qualities of Brahmana. But we could see there are so many more qualities that Narad Muni said about Prahlad Maharaj. Um, by the way, I'll take 15 more minutes to close this chapter. Yes, a Vaishnava is always a well-wisher to everyone. The six Goswamis, for example, they say, Dhira Dhira Janapriya. Dhira Adhira Janapriya. So they are not saying they were popular with both the gentle people and Adhira, ruffians who are very rough. A Vaishnava must be equal to everyone, regardless of one's position. And then Atmavat, a Vaishnava should be like Paramatma. Ah, of course, Prabhupada writes in the end also, it doesn't mean that he becomes Paramatma, but he will have this qualities, same qualities of Paramatma. And then, therefore, a Vaishnava is always obedient to the spiritual master. This is in the context of different one. Okay, as because he's Aryan. And then, na udvigna chitta, he had no agitation. No udvigna chitta vyasaneshu nishprahah shruteshu drishteshu guneshva avastu drik dantendriya prana sharira di sada prashanta kamo rahita suro sura. Mm. Although Prahlad Maharaj was born in a family of Asura, he himself was not an Asura but a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. Unlike the other Asuras, he was never envious of Vaishnavas. He was not agitated when put into danger. He was neither directly nor indirectly interested in fruitive activities described in the Vedas. Indeed, he considered everything material to be useless and therefore he was completely devoid of material desires. He always controlled his senses and life air, and being of steady intelligence and determination, he subdued all lusty desires. That is his greatness. Yasmin mahad guna rajan grihanti kavibhir munuh nate aduna pidhiyante yata bhagavatishvare. He's saying, O King Prahlad Maharaj, good qualities are still glorified by learned saints and Vaishnavas all over. As all good qualities are always found existing in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they also exist forever in his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. हाँ, and yam sadhu gata sadasi rupavopi sura nripa prati प्रतिमानं प्रकुर्वन्ति kim utanya bhavadrishad. He is saying, in this, in any assembly where there are discourses about saints and devotees, now Narad Muni is just saying the greatness of Prahlad Maharaj. Wherever, if something glorification of saints and devotees will come, Prahlad Maharaj's name definitely is cited. O King Yudhishthira, even the enemies of the demons, namely the demigods, what to speak of you, would cite Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a great devotee. गुणैर अलम असंख्यैर महात्म्यम तस्य सूच्यते वासुदेवे भगवती यस्य नैसर्गिकी रति. His question is, who could list the innumerable transcendental qualities of Prahlad Maharaj? It's impossible. Huh? Narad Muni is telling about Prahlad Maharaj. It's impossible. He had unflinching faith in Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, and unalloyed devotion to him. His attachment to Lord Krishna was natural because of his previous devotional service. Although his good qualities cannot be enumerated, they prove that he was a great soul, Mahatma. The question may come, hey, this Vasudeva, yeah, in the verse 36, it's clearly mentioned Vasudeve Bhagavati. He understood. And then Prabhupada also mentioned, therefore, when this verse says Vasudeve Bhagavati, one should understand that Prahlad Maharaj's attachment to Nrsimha Dev was attachment for Krishna, Vasudeva, the son of Vasudeva. Prahlad Maharaj, therefore, is described as a great Mahatma. As the Lord Himself confirms in Bhagavad Gita, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavam Mahaprapadyante Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha. So Prahlad Maharaj's attachment for Krishna will be explained in the next verse clearly in verse number 37. Uh, Nyasta Kridanako Balo Jadavat Tan Manas Manastya Manastaya Krishna Graha Grihitatma Naveda Jagad Idrisham. Question here is clear that from the very beginning of his childhood, Prahlad Maharaj was uninterested in childhood past playthings. Indeed, he gave them up altogether and remained silent and dull, being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Since his mind was always affected by Krishna consciousness, he could not understand how the world goes on being fully absorbed in activities of sense gratification. In fact, there is this purport which gives more examples to understand this. But here, this whole purport is mentioning about who is a Mahabhagavata. And what to Mahabhagavat, everyone but himself appears to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. Prahlad Maharaj is considering himself is not a devotee but everyone else. Asina paryatan asnan sayana pratiban bruva nanusandata etani govinda parirambitah. This is what happens. Because he was so much parirambita, he is attached to Govinda, absorbed in thoughts of him. Thus, being always embraced by the Lord, he did not know how his bodily necessities, such as sitting, walking, eating, laying down, drinking, and talking, were being automatically performed. So he don't know what is happening, but he is completely under the Lord protection. Kvachid rudati vaikuntha chinta shabala chetanaha क्वचिद दस्यन्ति तच्चिंता ह्लादा udgayati क्वचित. He is saying, because of advancement in Krishna consciousness, he sometimes cried, sometimes laughed, sometimes expressed jubilation, sometimes sang loudly. And then, verse 40. Nadati kvachit utkanto villajo, villajo nityati kvachit tad bhavanam yukta tanmayo anucha, anuchakara cha. Anuchakara. He was imitating the feelings of the Lord out of his own absorption in the Lord. In the purport again, what is the essence of his mention? Yeah, if one wants to understand what is this meaning of imitating the Lord is because Prahlad Maharaj is so much absorbed in the leelas, meditating on the leelas of the Lord. He himself was feeling a part of it, and he was doing them. However, he does not actually become Lord. Prahlad Maharaj achieved the spiritual ecstasies described herein by his advancement in spiritual understanding. Kvajit utpullaka tushnin aste samsparsha nirvritaha spanda pranayananda salilamili tekshanaha. What is happening? Sometimes feeling the touch of Lord's lotus hand, he becomes spiritually jubilant and remains silent. And his hairs standing on end and tears gliding down from his half closed eyes because of his love for the Lord. Hmm. This is what happens. In fact, we can see that Mahabhava stage, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attains and he also expressed these symptoms. Sa Uttama Shloka. Now this is concluding. This is a conclusion saying Sa Uttama Shloka Padara Vindayor Nisevayang ki Nisevayang Kichana Sanga Labdhaya Tanvan Param Nivritim Atmano Muhur Duhsanga Dinasya Mana Samam Vyadat. He is saying there because of his association with perfect, unalloyed devotees who had nothing to do with anything material, Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord's lotus feet. It is mentioned here. So Uttama Shloka Padaramindayor. Prahlad Maharaj constantly engaged in the service of the Lord. By seeing his bodily features, when he was in perfect ecstasy, persons very poor in spiritual understanding became purified. In other words, Prahlad Maharaj bestowed upon them transcendental bliss. Tasmin Mahabhagavate Mahabhaga Mahatmani Hiranyakashipu Rajan Akarod Agham Atmaje. He's saying, my dear King Yudhishthir, this demon Hiranyakashipu tormented this exalted, fortunate devotee, although Prahlad was his own son. That brings to an important question out of, he was saying, "Yeah, what is that? Shri Yudhishthira Uvacha, Devarsha etad ichchamo viditum tava suvrata yad atmajaya suddhaya pitadad sadhavehi agam." He is saying, Maharaj Yudhishthira is saying, oh, best of the saints among the demigods, oh, best of the spiritual leaders, how did Hiranyakashipu give so much trouble to Prahlad? The pure and exalted saint, although Prahlad was his own son. I wish to know about this subject from you. It's very, I can't understand how can this happen. Putran vipratikulan swan pitara putra vatsalaha upalambante sikshartham naivagam aparo yatha. Yeah, in fact, I know a father and a mother are always affectionate to their children. When the children are disobedient, the parents chastise them, but due to enmity, but only for not due to enmity, but only for child's instruction welfare. How did Hiranya see? I know that children, if they are disobedient, then the parents chastise them. But here, Prahlad Maharaj is perfect son, perfect. No, who can have such a great son? Huh? How is it possible that Hiranyakashipu, how did Hiranyakashipu, the father of Prahlad Maharaj, chastise such a noble son? This is what I am eager to know. Hmm? Kim utanuvasan sadhum tadrisan guru devatan etat kautuhalam. This inquisitive kautuhalam brahman asmakam vidhama prabho pituhu pitraya pituhu putraya yad dvesha mana mana maranaya prayojita is saying, what is this happening? How was it possible for a father to be so violent towards an exalted son who was obedient, well behaved, and respectful to his father? O Brahman, O Master, I have never heard of such a contradiction as an affectionate father's punishing his noble son with the intention of killing him. Kindly dissipate our doubts in this regard. This is what he's saying. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthira wanted Narad Muni to dissipate his doubt. And this is what actually we will begin the Katha. Why? is Hiranyakashipu like this in spite of having all these wonderful qualities? Why Prahlad Maharaj, who has unlimited greatness, grateful qualities of a devotee, will be punished? And then we have learned the glories of two persons, yeah, Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj. We will also start hearing what happens uh, when such a great person, yeah, we may usually see a hero, yeah, we can see a hero is there and a villain is there, and villain will do all nonsense, and then the hero will punish. But here, this hero who is Prahlad Maharaj, he is not punishing. He's an obedient son with having all these qualities. But then, how is the villain punished? This is what we see the third person coming. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Whether tomorrow we'll have Katha. Yeah. And I was also thinking, I don't know, depending on how far we'll go, maybe tomorrow evening and the last session Sunday morning. That way we can have 6 sessions at least. Well, let's see what happens tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, 7:30, we'll have the katha. Any questions? Anyone want to share? Any thoughts, comments? Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
No, Prabhuji. I just joined a little late, so I heard half. But yeah, tomorrow I'll try to join, and then yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Nice. Is
Hare
Anumataji
Krishna.
also there or attending kid?
What, Prabhuji? Sorry.
Is Anumataji there or she's?
Yes. We both joined together, Prabhuji.
Mhm. Yeah, very nice.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Sakshi Mataji. I know it took a little longer,
Hare
but
Krishna, Prabhuji. No questions. Thank you so much.
mhm. Hare Krishna.
Please join tomorrow the session. Thank you.
Yeah, nice. And Shruti Mataji.
No questions, Prabhuji. All good. Thank
All
you.
good. Okay. Good. Then thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा भगवान की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय।